Good evening and welcome to Sunset News. I am Glenora Shipura, bringing you news, community stories, weather, economic news, and much more on this Tuesday evening. Getting into the news tonight, the Ministry of Labor, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, in collaboration with the International Labour Organization, launched the National Coordination Mechanism concentrating on decent work within the Namibian fisheries sector. The NCM for the fisheries sector will be responsible for overseeing compliance with international labor standards and facilitating dialogue among stakeholders to enhance working conditions and operational efficiency. Minister of Labor, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, Utoni Nuyoma, officially launched the project. Let's take a look.
My distinct honor to stand before you today to launch the National Coordination Mechanism on Decent Work in the Namibia Fisheries Sector and host the Business Forum on Advancing Decent Work in the Namibian Fishery Supply Chains. The fisheries sector plays a crucial role in the Namibia economy, providing employment and uplifting the livelihood for many of our citizens. However, it is also a sector, as you all know, that has been marred by multiple challenges, including issues relating to decent work, occupational health and safety, forced labor, as well as violence and harassment on some of the vessels using Namibian ports. Director of Ceremonies, the status of employment relations in the fishing sector remains unabated. It is for this reason that the government of the Republic of Namibia has once again shown its commitment in addressing the key issues that affect the operations in the fishing sector.
Tosca Sem is the new executive director at Namibia Civil Aviation Authority. And earlier today, he provided context for the results of the just concluded audit conducted by the International Civil Aviation Organization. Although not on top of their game, the Namibia Civil Aviation Authority improved their performance from 57% in 2016 to 72% in the just concluded International Civil Aviation Organization audit. The results were announced by Bethel Mushetenga, chairperson of the board of directors, this morning. Let's take a look.
Forms the principles and fundamentals of the aviation industry, and that is embedded in the Civil Aviation Act number 6 of 2016. Secondly is CE2, which speaks to the specific operating regulations. The operating regulations are obviously the different regulations in the different audit areas, and most aviators have been fundamental to the establishment of these regulations. CE3 speaks to the space system and function. How does the Namibia Civil Aviation System functions, which basically speaks to the formation and the autonomous and the establishment of the Namibia Civil Aviation Authority as an autonomous body to have oversight over safety and security, at the same time also providing air navigation services. CE4, we are talking to the qualified technical personnel. Aviation is a very regulated industry, and the inspectors, all aviation personnel, are expected to go compliance training, refresher training, and continuous development in terms of their training. CE5, in terms of our operations, the inspectors are expected to have technical guidance materials, tools and provisions of safety, critical information. These documentations serves as a guide on how the inspectorate basically conduct the oversight capability. So with the establishment, most of these areas are pinning to the Civil Aviation Authority, and we are expected to ensure that critical element number 1 up to 5 is embedded in our key operations as a civil aviation organization.
The Rundu Rural Constituency Councillor Paulus Bangu has voiced concerns regarding insufficient funding for the Uvungu Vungu Green Scheme needed to ensure the scheme operates at its full capacity. Bangu made these remarks during Vice President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah visits to the scheme in the Kavango East region on Monday. The visit was aimed at addressing food insecurity in the country.
Basically, we are very fortunate that the green scheme in the constituency. But then this green scheme also got its own challenges. One of those challenges is the inadequate funding of the green scheme. Currently now the green scheme, for it to be at the maximum production, requires about 46,863,619, and that is the shortfall that we have here in the green scheme. The issue of the higher rate of electricity, it's called, we addressed it to the Minister of Agriculture in several occasions, but until today, it still continues. It's called the higher demand charges for electricity. That has also been one of the problems. And then the insufficient tractors, as well as implement, the unavailability of the combined harvesters, the unavailability of the storage facilities, the unavailability of transport, the unavailability of the weight bridge, the shortage of vehicles in the project, the old pump as well as the center pivot, and then the other issues just about administrative matters as well, because the problem that we have with the green scheme at the moment is that everything is decentralized in wind. For example, if a tire bursts of the tractor, the manager is powerless. They don't do anything unless they have to write a letter to window, and the window have to approve, and then they have to instruct the manager to send the quotation, and then that quotation to go back to window again, and then at whatever time that they will sit, then they will then give a green light and tell the manager to go and repair that tires.
In our next story, President Nangolo Bumba says statesmen should be focused on placing the needs of their citizens ahead of that of their political parties, saying the needs of the political parties are secondary. Bumba made the remarks following an interview with the South African Broadcasting Corporation during a working visit to meet South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. We are ruling parties, but everybody wants to be a ruling party. Everybody wants to be a ruling party, and we have to make sure that we behave in such a way that the interests of our own countries are primary. They come first, even above our concerns, even above our parties, Bumba said. It was incumbent on political parties to take care of their own interests, while statesmen deal with the needs of their countries first, Bumba said. As presidents, our duties first is to make sure that everybody in South Africa is safe and lives in peace. Everybody in Namibia is free and lives in peace, he said. Bumba also reaffirmed his stance that he was not interested in running for the position of president of Namibia, with elections due to take place on the 27th of November. Bumba said SWAPO would throw its weight behind the party's current vice president, Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah. Bumba said he was not keen to ascend to the presidency, describing the decision as challenging in light of the death of late President Hage Geingob. We really felt robbed of a leader. We felt punished by ill health, by death. We were down, but in terms of our own constitution, it was very clear, Bumba said. Moving over to economic news, Africa Oil Corp is willing to fork out $64 million to increase its exposure in the oil-rich Orange Basin offshore Namibia. These details follows after the break.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
Getting into our economic news, Africa Oil Corp is willing to fork out 64 million US dollars or more than 1 billion Namibian dollars to acquire up to 8% of the issued shares in Impact Oil and Gas to increase its exposure in the oil-rich Orange Basin offshore Namibia. In this regard, Africa Oil has made a cash offer to acquire from the shares from minority stakeholders in Impact, the Canadian company said in a statement. Africa Oil currently holds a 31.1% shareholding in Impact. Impact has a 18.89% stake in Block 2912 and 20% in Block 2913B offshore Namibia, together with partners Total Energies, Qatar Energy and Namcor. The blocks are in the vicinity of Total Energies, Venus and Shell's Kraf and Larona assets in the Orange Basin. Commenting on the proposed deal, Africa Oil CEO Roger Tucker said, "This measured advance in our strategic shareholding strengthens our influence over Impact in line with our objectives for 2024. This includes positioning Africa Oil as the leading independent exploration and production company in the Orange Basin." Let's take a look at our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.97, against the euro at 20.52, against the US dollar at 18.91, 2 Namibian dollars and 64 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold, platinum, copper went down while Brent crude oil went up. Brent crude oil trading at 0.18%, going for $87 US and 21 cents per barrel. After the break, we take a look at our story of the day. In our Story of the Day segment, our in-house journalist Irene Marie van der Walt talks to us about the Supreme Court ruling in a matter which concerns Mobile Telecommunications MTC and the Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia, which will soon start collecting levies from service providers. Over to you, Irene.
In our story of the day, we are having a look at the Communications Regulatory Authority of Namibia, who succeeded upon appeal in the Supreme Court. So MTC originally sued CRAN. They took them to the High Court, saying that a part of the Communications Act, which enabled CRAN to require levies from telecommunications companies and telecommunications providers, saying that this should be declared null and void because it gives almost like a boundless power to CRAN to instate any levy they would like. It doesn't specify an upper bound, it doesn't specify a cutoff point. That was MTC's argument in the High Court. They ended up winning that case in the High Court, after which CRAN appealed in the Supreme Court. Emilia Ngikembwa, the CEO of CRAN, said to the Supreme Court that levies make up roughly 80% of CRAN's income. Thus, it is vital for CRAN to be able to instate levies and to be able to collect levies from entities. She also said that now that they will be able to collect levies, they would like to start a universal fund. Very little detail is currently available on what exactly this universal fund is going to do, but Emilia Ngikembwa certainly excited that CRAN has succeeded in their appeal.
The United Nations chief has expressed alarm at reports that the Myanmar military is bombing civilian areas. This and more international stories on the other side of the break. Getting into our international news, the United Nations chief has expressed alarm at reports that the Myanmar military is bombing civilian areas. Antonio Guterres called for calm late on Monday following reports that continuing air attacks on villages in the restive country's Rakhine state have killed dozens. Now, clashes have rocked the western state since the Arakan army attacked security forces in November, ending a ceasefire that had largely held since the military's 2021 coup. Residents told AFP more than 20 people have been killed. Guterres is alarmed by reports of ongoing airstrikes by the military, including today in Minbya township, that reportedly killed and injured many civilians. Farhan Haq, the UN chief's deputy spokesperson, said the expansion of conflict in Rakhine state is driving displacement and exacerbating pre-existing vulnerabilities and discrimination, he said. Minbya township lies east of the state capital of Sitwe, which has been all but cut off by AA fighters in recent weeks. The air raid hit the village of Tada, a predominantly Rohingya village about 5 kilometers north of Minbya, early on Monday, killing 10 men, 4 women, and 10 children, one resident said. There was no fighting in our village and they bombed us, he said, asking for anonymity for security reasons. Another resident, also asking for anonymity, said 23 people had been killed in the blast and 18 wounded. With most mobile networks down, communication with the riverine region is extremely difficult. Muslim Rohingya have faced persecution in Buddhist majority Myanmar for decades, and nearly 1 million of them lived in cramped camps in a neighboring Bangladesh border district of Cox's Bazar. Most fled a military crackdown in 2017. Moving on to our next story, 9 people have been arrested over a firework attack on a police station near major venues for this summer's Paris Olympics, the French capital's top police officials said on Monday. The Sunday evening attack in the northern suburb of La Courneuve came days after a teenager riding a moped was killed in a car chase with police, echoing a June killing that triggered days-long riots. Now, around 50 people attacked the police station in La Courneuve, mostly with mortar fireworks. Paris Police Chief Laurent Nunez told broadcaster TF1. Now, videos posted on social media showed groups of people firing a barrage of fireworks at the building's facade. Police said the attackers also threw stones and Molotov cocktails. Police responded with sting ball grenades and flashball projectiles used by riot police as an alternative to firearms. The standoff lasted for about 30 minutes, Nunes said. The police station suffered no damage. La Courneuve is located in Paris' northern suburbs in the Saint-Denis department that hosts Olympic venues, including the flagship Stade de France stadium. Nunes said the arrested suspects included 7 adults aged 18 to 21 and 2 minors. We'll now take a look at our weather predictions. Katima-Mulilo can expect sunny weather conditions with a minimum of 18 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 37 degrees Celsius. Rundu, Enana, Oshakati, and Ruacana can expect partly cloudy conditions, with Oshakati expecting a minimum of 23 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius. Hendy's Bay can expect partly cloudy conditions with a minimum of 19 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. Keetmanshoop can expect some showers along with Ariamsvlei. Rehoboth can expect a minimum of 18 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius. After the break, we take a look at our sports news.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunset News Sports section. This is Jesse Jackson Kauraitha, your host for tonight. The Debmarine Namibia Premiership football season is far from decided following more twists in Sunday's matches. African Stars went into the weekend looking like they might just put daylight between themselves and the chasing pack, but only ended the weekend on 53 points. Ongos FC 3-1 defeat to UNAM on Friday and Stars 1-0 win over Eshoke Chula Chula on Saturday may have given the Reds hope of holding on to their title with 5 matches to go. The log leaders, however, squandered a chance of increasing on their lead by losing a 1-0 to mighty Gunners at Oshiwarongo on Sunday. Instead, Ongos, who appeared to be losing ground on Stars, rejuvenated their hopes by taking a 1-0 win over Live Fighters at Independence Stadium on Sunday. They are currently third with 5 points behind African Stars, while also having a game in hand which could narrow the margins provided they win it. Khomas Nampo FC, who also looked as if they had considered the title chase to Stars weeks ago after back-to-back defeats, have risen again after collecting 6 valuable points. Young men between the ages of 18 and 35 years are encouraged to apply to become a referee in the newly launched Namibia Rugby Referee Academy. A structured pathway has been laid out in conjunction with the Southern African Rugby Union and the Namibia Rugby Union. In the rugby-loving Namibian nation, we have one big frustration with referees. Most are not close to international standards, causing local school and senior rugby teams not only to be frustrated, but to be uncertain of what they can and cannot do in certain situations. A statement from the union reads: another bronze medal for Namibia in Ghana was added by the discus thrower Ryan Williams last night. The 23-year-old national record holder took third place with a best effort of 55.42 meters, still some way short of his personal best of 61.15 meters, set almost a year ago in Potchefstroom. Williams' best on the night was only beaten by South Africa's Victor Hogan 62.56 and Algeria's Kenosowi Oseman with 59.97. That is all we had for you tonight. Good night.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with soccer news first, and not good news for Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League. They were penalised 4 positions or 4 lock points. That is because they breached the profit and sustainability rules of the English Premier League. That is based on losses they made in the 2022-2023 season, and so they have 4 lock points taken away. The penalty of 4 lock points relates to them being in the last 3 at the moment. They in the relegation zone. They in 18th position now on 21 points, 19th Burnley on 17 points, and last and 20th position at the moment is Sheffield United on 14 league points. The rules state that the club can make losses of 35 million euros per year, or combined 105 million euros over 3 years, but it is unfortunately Nottingham Forest that made losses of 61 million euros in the year 2022-2023. Reports indicate that they will likely appeal the 4 points penalty. Continuing international sports news with cricket news amidst T20 women's cricket, it is England touring New Zealand, and the first T20 international was played in Dunedin, and it is the visitors England that won that game by 27 runs. England batting first, a good competitive score of 160 for the loss of 4 wickets, with captain Heather Knight scoring a fast 63 runs from just 39 deliveries. New Zealand battled, they could only accumulate 133 for the loss of 5 in their 20 overs, and the second T20 game in the series will be played on Friday. That will be in Nelson. And conclude.
That was Ari Hochard and Jesse Jackson Kawaitha with the sports news. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the NMH platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, 1up2.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Glenora Shipura, and this has been Sunset News. Done in today with us.